Budgeting. So it's December 2022, and I'd like to speak to you about budgeting so you can start fresh in the new year. Now, what would you be budgeting for? Obviously, because my channel is Mortgages and Money Matters, I would say budget for a mortgage. But first, you need to budget for a deposit. Now, what I would suggest you do is the very first thing, review your finances. I think you'd be surprised on what you actually spend. Now, what I would do is I would get your bank statements and I would categorize them. So first, you've got committed expenses. Committed expenses are, have you got an existing mortgage? Have you got any car finance, HP loans? Have you got any personal finance, personal loans? Have you got any credit cards? Mark those all as committed expenses. Maybe put them down as a nice green because you need, they will be staying. Then the next set of stuff to look at is basic essentials. Now, basic essentials would be your council tax, would be your electricity, would be your gas, would be any insurance you have. If you've got a car, it'd be car insurance and car tax. If you own property, it'd be things like building insurance. You might have life insurance and things like that. So those are your basic essentials. And then is your quality of living. Now, you'll be shocked to know that quality of living include mobiles, even though people think they're essential. Quality of living includes your Netflix, it includes your Just Eat, it includes your any takeaways, any things that you can live without. I mean, even internet would be something that they would consider you could live without. Arguably, probably not, depending on what you do for a living. But that is how you would categorize all your expenses. And the best way to do it, as I said, is get one full month's bank statements, highlight the different colors, and then count it up and see how much it is. Look at how much you're receiving as income every single month and look at how much you spend on each of these categories. And then make a decision on whether you want to cut some of these. I mean, you may have subscriptions you've never used or don't need anymore. Let's be realistic. Are you really going to the gym? So just look at what you're doing. Like with the car, how often do you drive nowadays? Do you tend to make more public transport? Are you working from home so you're not really commuting in? And if you are, you'll be taking the tube. Do you literally only use the car on weekends to get the shopping? Then you could either hire a car, zip a car good, or you could just order a big delivery online to be delivered to you. So really go through your finances and say, what do I need and what do I not need? The other thing is keep an eye on your direct debits. Now, a lot of people, they don't realise with the utilities, for example, they are upping your direct debit continuously to make sure that you're always in credit. Now, if you're in too much credit, a lot of credit, then you can actually make an application to reduce how much you pay direct debit on utilities per month, and that or per quarter, however you pay it, and that should really help rather than just banking a load of money with the utility companies. That's something to look at. Now, you really do need to make a decision on what your intentions are. So, for example, if your intentions are to buy a property and you have a rough idea what you think it's going to be and you want to have a 5% or a 10% deposit, then find out, okay, if I'm going to save up for the next, say, 2 years, divide it by 24. How much is that? Is that a realistic amount? Could I afford to put aside more? Would I be putting aside less? Once you've made a decision on how much you need to put aside each month, then also look at what will my salary be at that point? How much can I afford the mortgage to be? once you've got the mortgage, you need to be able to afford it as well. So a lot of people budget for saving up for the deposit, but they don't budget for actually having to pay the mortgage afterwards. So it's good to have those figures in your head as well. The next thing to look at is, do I need to earn more? And if I do need to earn more, what are my options? Now, there are people that are employed and the options may be to do a side hustle. There are people that are self-employed, which options are, again, do a side hustle or just to get more clients, depending on what you do. Self-employed, if you're an electrician or a plumber or mortgage advisor, whatever you do really, can you get more clients? How can you earn more money? Now, once you know what your expenses are, then you can budget for your income and you can actually look at how much you want to earn, how much you want to increase it, and on what, over what period of time. Now, the next thing I'd suggest you do is create a cash flow forecast. Now, what a cash flow forecast is, it monitors your cash flow. So you will have every single month running across, and you will have what the income is, and then it will deduct what the expenses are in the 3 categories that we discussed, and then that will give you what your net is per month. And that will say, okay, if my income every month is, say, £2,000, and with all my expenses it's £1,000, then I've got £1,000 left every single month. Out of that £1,000, I'm going to save 50%. Excuse me, for example. And that's how you would monitor your cash flow. You would set this up as what your budget figure would be, and then every month you'd look at your bank statements, find out what you're actually spending compared to what your budget spending was. So then you'd be able to do a budget and actual and show what the variance is. So for example, if you budget to have a phone bill of £35, and then when you check your bank statement the following month it is actually £45, then you've obviously gone £10 over budget. And you could do that with every category of your expense. So I've gone through the main categories of committed, basic essentials and basic quality of living, but then you can split each category up. Like I said in my example, you could split what the mortgage is, what your mobile phone is, what the internet is. As I said, keep an eye on your utilities as well. So there are a lot of things that you can do in order to understand your finance. And once you understand your finance, you genuinely know, can I afford a mortgage once the time comes? It's all very well being able to get the deposit and having the right salary and lowering your commitments in order to have, a glowing credit report. So then you will get the money for the mortgage. But then at the end of the day, can you afford it month on month? The Bank of England rate went up again, and now it's at 3.5. What does this mean for you? The reason why I'm talking about all of this is because everybody has the budget, and there are people that are coming up for their remortgage now. There are people that want to purchase right now. They need to be aware of whether they can afford it or not. Can they afford it now? Will they still be able to afford it in 6 months' time? By having a budget and by having a cash flow forecast, you can actually look at that. There's a lot of people out there that are living paycheck to paycheck and they don't know where their money goes. You need to look at these things. You need to understand where your money goes because it's your money. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you've got any questions or any comments, or you've got any ideas about what you'd like me to talk about, obviously I'm here. If you'd like to subscribe, if you'd like to like the video, it really does help with the algorithm, and it helps me push my information and education out to more people, because I believe that everybody has a right to own their own home.